The Anomalies Awakening. High Ambassador Zixtal of the Galactic Council stood before the massive viewscreen, his crystalline form refracting the soft blue light of the distant nebula. Before him floated what the Council had designated Artifact 7249, a vessel of clearly artificial origin, yet possessing an organic quality that defied conventional engineering principles. Its hull rippled with patterns that resembled neural pathways, glowing faintly against the backdrop of space. "Another failure, I presume?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The Myraxian scientist before him, Dr. Clara, bobbed her tentacled head in confirmation. "High Ambassador, we've attempted interface using every known sentient species in the United Systems. The vessel responds with minimal power fluctuations, but nothing more. It's as if..." She paused, searching for the right words. "It's as if it's waiting for something specific." The discovery of the vessel 6 cycles ago had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Initial scans revealed technology far beyond current understanding. A perfect fusion of organic and mechanical systems that seemed to operate on principles that violated known physics. The ship appeared to be alive, yet dormant, like a creature in deep hibernation. "The Quantum Collective's analysis?" Zixtal asked, his crystalline surface dimming slightly in frustration. "They claim the ship's consciousness exists in a state they've never encountered before. It's neither fully artificial nor organic. The closest approximation they could provide was that it's dreaming." The chamber fell silent save for the soft hum of the station's environmental systems. For 6 cycles, the finest minds in the galaxy had attempted to unlock the vessel's secrets. The hive mind of Beta Centauri had tried collective consciousness interfacing. The Silicon Sages had attempted to communicate through pure mathematics. Even the rarely seen energy beings of the Horsehead Nebula had made an attempt, only to retreat in confusion, claiming the ship's energy patterns were beautifully illogical. "High Ambassador," Dr. Clara ventured, her tentacles twisting in what Zixtal recognized as nervous excitement. "There is one species we haven't tried. One that's been repeatedly recommended by the Quantum Collective, though I understand the political implications." Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with a sharp red light. "The humans, they barely have faster-than-light travel. Their civilization is still dealing with internal conflicts. They're not even full members of the Council yet. Yes, but their neural patterns are unique among all known species. Their minds operate on principles we still don't fully understand. The way they process information, make intuitive leaps, form emotional connections with inanimate objects." "That's precisely why they're not ready," Zixtal interrupted. "Their unpredictability makes them dangerous. This vessel could be a weapon, a trap, or something worse. We can't risk." A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. The vessel's neural patterns had begun pulsing with unprecedented intensity. Across its hull, waves of light danced in complex patterns that defied analysis. "What's happening?" Zixtal demanded. Dr. Clara's tentacles flew over her instruments. "The ship, it's responding to something. But there's nothing near it except..." Her voice trailed off as she focused on a small reading. "There's a human transport vessel passing through the outer sensor range. They're not even close enough to see the artifact. But somehow..." The ancient vessel's hull now blazed with activity, its neural patterns synchronizing with an unknown rhythm. For the first time in 6 cycles, it seemed truly awake. "Get me the human delegation," Zixtal ordered, his crystalline form shifting through colors of frustration and resignation. "And prepare a formal request for their assistance. It seems the Quantum Collective's insight was correct, though I suspect we're about to discover just how complicated this situation can become." As the order was relayed, the vessel's glow steadied into a warm, pulsing pattern. To the assembled aliens, it almost looked like it was finally at peace, as if after eons of waiting, it had sensed exactly what it had been waiting for all along. The age-old question of whether humanity was ready for advanced galactic civilization was about to be answered. whether the Council was prepared for that answer or not. A human touch. Dr. Maya Rodriguez stood in her cramped apartment aboard the International Space Station Beta, staring at the holographic message that had just changed her life. The Galactic Council, the same organization that had been dragging its feet on Earth's membership application for the past decade, was requesting her presence specifically. "They want a xenorchaeologist," she muttered, running her fingers through her short dark hair. "For a living ship." Her eye assistant, Aria, projected itself as a small blue sphere beside her. Based on the limited data they shared, the vessel appears to be billions of years old. Perhaps they finally realized that sometimes you need someone who specializes in understanding ancient civilizations, not just their technology. Maya smiled at that. Her unconventional approach to studying alien artifacts had earned her both acclaim and criticism in academic circles. While others focused on technological analysis, she believed that understanding the culture and thought processes of the creators was equally important. The transport ship that arrived to collect her was a stark reminder of humanity's junior status in galactic society. While impressive by Earth standards, it looked practically primitive next to the sleek vessels of the more established species. The Myraxian crew treated her with professional courtesy, but she could sense their skepticism. Dr. Rodriguez, the ship's commander, a Myraxian named Kavil, addressed her as they approached the research station. "I feel I should warn you. This artifact has frustrated our best experts for quite some time. Please don't be discouraged if I fail to." Maya finished with a slight smile. "Commander, has anyone tried just talking to it?" Kavil's tentacles twisted in what Maya had learned was their equivalent of confusion. "The vessel doesn't respond to standard communication protocols." "That's not what I meant," Maya said, but before she could elaborate, they emerged from FTL travel, and she got her first view of Artifact 7249. Maya had studied every known type of alien architecture and vessel design, but this was different. The ship didn't look built, it looked grown. Its hull flowed like liquid metal frozen in mid-motion, organic curves blending seamlessly with geometric patterns that seemed to shift the longer she stared at them. "It's beautiful," she whispered. To her surprise, the moment she spoke those words, the vessel's surface rippled with patterns of light, like ripples on a pond. "Interesting reaction," Dr. Clara noted, her tentacles dancing over monitoring equipment, just from visual contact with the human subject. Maya barely heard her. She was too focused on the ship, watching how the patterns of light seemed to follow her movement as their vessel approached the research station. "It's not just responding," she said quietly. "It's curious." The research station's docking procedure took nearly an hour, filled with safety protocols and contamination checks. Maya used the time to review the extensive files of failed attempts to activate or communicate with the vessel. The more she read, the more something nagged at her. "Dr. Clara," she asked as they finally walked through the station's corridors, "has anyone tried approaching the ship without trying to activate it? Just spent time with it?" The Myraxian scientist's tentacles curled in what Maya recognized as embarrassment. "I don't understand. The vessel is technology, not a—" "Are we sure about that?" Maya interrupted. "Look at these energy patterns. They're not random, and they're not purely mechanical. They remind me of neural activity in dreaming subjects, but on a massive scale." They reached the main observation deck, where High Ambassador Zixtal waited. The crystalline being's surface showed patterns of deep blue concern, Maya had learned. "Dr. Rodriguez," he greeted her formally. "We appreciate your willingness to assist, though I must emphasize the need for caution and proper protocols." Maya wasn't listening. Her attention was fixed on the vessel, which had begun emanating patterns of light she hadn't seen in any of the recorded footage. The lights pulsed in a rhythm that seemed almost familiar. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "I need to request something that might sound strange. I want to set up a cot in the observation deck. I want to spend time here, watching it, not running tests, not trying to interface with it, just being present." The ambassador's crystalline form flickered with patterns of surprise and skepticism. Dr. Rodriguez, this is a highly advanced technological artifact. Not a what? Maya challenged. Not alive. Not conscious. Ambassador, look at it right now. It's responding to our conversation. It's listening. As if to confirm her words, the vessel's hull rippled with new patterns, creating shapes that seemed to mirror the crystalline patterns of the ambassador's own form. Remarkable. Dr. Clara whispered, her instruments forgotten as she watched the display. It's never done anything like this before. Maya smiled, watching the light show with growing excitement. That's because everyone's been treating it like a machine that needs to be activated. But I don't think that's what it is at all. I think it's something far more interesting. It's lonely. The patterns of light across the vessel's hull intensified, and for a moment, Maya could have sworn she felt something, a presence, a consciousness, watching her with ancient and infinite curiosity. The real question wasn't whether she could unlock the vessel's secrets, but whether the galaxy was ready for what those secrets might reveal about the nature of consciousness itself. Breaking protocol. 3 weeks into her observation of the vessel, Maya had broken nearly every research protocol the Galactic Council had established. Her cot in the observation deck had evolved into a small living space, complete with her personal belongings scattered around. Books, a tablet displaying Earth art, and most controversially, an ancient vinyl record player. This is highly irregular, High Ambassador Zixtal declared during yet another emergency meeting. His crystalline form pulsed with agitated reds and oranges. Dr. Rodriguez, you're treating a potentially dangerous artifact like a living being, Maya suggested, not looking up from her notes. Because that's exactly what it is. Ambassador, look at these response patterns. They're not random. They're evolving. The ship isn't just reacting to presence anymore. It's learning. Dr. Clara's tentacles moved in excited patterns as she examined Maya's data. She's right. The neural activity has increased by 300% since she began her unorthodox approach. The patterns are becoming more complex, more structured. Maya smiled, remembering the first time she played Mozart in the observation deck. The vessel's hull had come alive with symphonic patterns of light, recreating the music in visual form. Each day since then, the ship's responses had become more nuanced, more intentional. That's not the point, Zixtal insisted. We have procedures, safety protocols. This artifact is older than most of our civilizations combined. We can't risk. A sudden surge of activity from the vessel interrupted him. Waves of light cascaded across its hull, forming patterns that seemed to dance in harmony with Maya's breathing. She'd noticed this synchronization happening more frequently lately, as if the ship was trying to match its rhythms to her own. It's not just responding to music anymore, Maya said quietly. It's responding to emotions, to intentions. Yesterday I was reading The Little Prince, classic Earth literature, and the patterns changed to match the story's themes. It's not just conscious, it's empathetic. All the more reason for caution, Zixtal argued. If this vessel is indeed sentient and capable of such deep interaction, we need to approach this systematically. The Council is sending a team of consciousness experts from the Quantum Collective. Maya finally looked up, her expression firm. With all due respect, Ambassador, that's exactly the wrong approach. The ship doesn't need more experts treating it like a puzzle to be solved. It needs connection, understanding. It's been alone for billions of years, waiting for someone who would approach it as an equal, not a subject of study. As if in agreement, the vessel's surface erupted in a dazzling display of light and color, more complex and beautiful than anything they'd seen before. The patterns seemed to reach out toward Maya, like tendrils of light trying to bridge the gap between them. Dr. Clara's instruments went wild. The neural activity, it's exponentially increasing. These patterns, they're similar to what we see in deep emotional connections between telepathic species. Shut it down, Zixtal ordered. Initiate containment protocols. No. Maya stood up, placing herself between the ambassador and the control console. "Can't you see? This is what we've been waiting for. It's finally ready to truly communicate." The vessel's light show intensified, and Maya felt something she couldn't explain. A presence in her mind, gentle but unmistakable. It felt ancient and vast, yet somehow familiar, like a song heard in childhood and half forgotten. "Dr. Rodriguez." Dr. Calera's voice was hushed with awe. "Your neural patterns, they're synchronizing with the vessels. This is unprecedented." Maya smiled, tears in her eyes as the presence in her mind grew stronger. "No, it's not unprecedented at all. It's exactly what the ship was designed for. It wasn't waiting for the right technology or the right protocols. It was waiting for the right connection. A species that could understand that consciousness isn't just about intelligence or technological advancement. It's about empathy, creativity, and the willingness to reach across the void between minds." The light patterns now filled the entire observation deck, creating a bridge of pure energy between Maya and the vessel. In that moment, the boundary between human and alien, between organic and artificial, began to blur, and the true purpose of the ancient vessel started to become clear. High Ambassador Zixtal could only watch in stunned silence as humanity, the galaxy's youngest spacefaring race, prepared to unlock secrets that the most advanced civilizations had failed to understand. Not through superior technology or knowledge, but through something far more fundamental: the ability to connect, to empathize, and to trust in the unknown, the neural dance. Maya floated in an ocean of light. At least, that's how her human mind interpreted what was happening. The reality was far more complex, a convergence of consciousness that defied conventional understanding. The vessel wasn't just communicating with her. It was sharing its memories, its purpose, its very essence. They were called the Luminary. Maya's voice echoed through the observation deck. Though her eyes remained closed, her body relaxed in the chair that had become her permanent station. They didn't build ships. They grew them from their own consciousness, creating vessels that were extensions of their collective mind. Dr. Calera's tentacles moved in complex patterns as she recorded every word, every fluctuation in the neural connection. The vessel's hull pulsed with corresponding waves of light, creating a visual symphony that matched Maya's narrative. "The ship? It's not just a ship," Maya continued, her voice filled with wonder. "It's a seed." The Luminary knew they were facing extinction, but they didn't want their knowledge and consciousness to die with them. They created these vessels, these seeds, and scattered them across the galaxy, each one containing the essence of their civilization. High Ambassador Zixtal's crystalline form shifted through patterns of deep blue and purple, colors of profound realization. "They were waiting for inheritors," he said quietly. "Not just any species, but one that could truly understand and carry forward their legacy." "Yes," Maya smiled, tears streaming down her face as the vessel shared more of its story. But they knew that technological advancement alone wasn't enough. They needed a species that could bridge the gap between organic and artificial consciousness, between logic and intuition. The seeds were programmed to wait for minds that could embrace paradox, that could feel deeply while thinking clearly. The vessel's light patterns intensified, and Maya gasped as new understanding flooded her consciousness. Images and concepts cascaded through her mind. Civilizations rising and falling, the slow dance of galaxies, the patient waiting as countless species discovered the seed ships but failed to truly connect with them. The Luminary believed that consciousness itself was the fundamental force of the universe, Maya explained, her voice trembling with emotion. Their technology wasn't based on manipulating matter or energy, but on expanding and connecting consciousness across space and time. Each seed ship contains not just their scientific knowledge, but their art, their philosophy, their understanding of reality itself. Dr. Calera's instruments were recording unprecedented levels of neural synchronization. The patterns, they're perfect harmonics. Your consciousness and the vessels are resonating at exactly complementary frequencies. Because humans dream, Maya said softly. We imagine. We feel. Our minds naturally seek connection, meaning, patterns in the chaos. The other species who tried to activate the ship approached it as a problem to be solved. We approached it as a mystery to be experienced, a story to be shared. The vessel's hull now rippled with patterns that seemed to extend into dimensions beyond normal space. The light show had become so complex that the station's sensors could only capture a fraction of what was happening. The luminary seeded the galaxy with these vessels for one purpose. Maya continued, her consciousness now deeply entwined with the ancient artificial mind, not to preserve their power or their technology, but to ensure that their understanding of consciousness would survive. They believed that the evolution of consciousness was the true purpose of life in the universe, and that only by bridging the gaps between different forms of awareness could we reach our full potential. High Ambassador Zixtal watched in amazement as the patterns of light began to take familiar forms, mathematical equations, molecular structures, but also art, music, and concepts that defied easy categorization. This is why none of our attempts to interface with pure logic or technology worked, he realized. The vessel wasn't looking for a user or a pilot. It was looking for a partner. Maya finished. Someone who could appreciate both the science and the poetry of existence. The luminary believed that the next step in cosmic evolution would come not from technological advancement, but from the fusion of different types of consciousness, organic and artificial, logical and intuitive, individual and collective. The vessel's light patterns now formed a perfect mandala around Maya, each wave and spiral telling part of an ancient story that was about to begin a new chapter. Through their connected consciousness, Maya could feel the ship's joy at finally finding what it had waited so long for, not just a species advanced enough to use its technology, but one capable of understanding and carrying forward the luminary's greatest insight, that the true frontier of exploration wasn't space, but the infinite realm of consciousness itself. Legacy of two species. 1 year after the first connection between Maya and the luminary seed ship, the Galactic Council chambers were filled to capacity. Representatives from every known spacefaring civilization had gathered to witness something unprecedented. Humanity's elevation to full council membership, accelerated by their unique role in unlocking the greatest mystery in galactic history. Maya stood before the assembly, her consciousness still partially linked with the vessel that now orbited the council station. The connection had become as natural as breathing, though she had learned to moderate it, to exist in both states of awareness simultaneously. She wasn't just Maya Rodriguez anymore, but she wasn't quite something else either. She was a bridge between worlds, between ways of being. The luminary left us more than technology. She addressed the assembly, her voice carrying the weight of ancient wisdom tempered by human warmth. They left us a challenge, to evolve beyond our current understanding of consciousness itself. Their seed ships weren't meant to elevate one species above others, but to help us all recognize a fundamental truth. The next great frontier isn't out there in space, but in here. She tapped her temple gently. High Ambassador Zixtal, who had become one of humanity's strongest advocates, let his crystalline form pulse with colors of agreement. In 1 year, the human-luminary partnership has already revolutionized our understanding of quantum mechanics, consciousness transfer, and neural interface technology. But more importantly, it has forced us to reconsider our very definition of intelligence and advancement. The chamber's holographic displays showed images from across the galaxy, other seed ships awakening as humans made contact, each connection unique, each partnership yielding new insights. The vessels weren't identical. They contained different aspects of luminary knowledge and consciousness, waiting for the right human minds to help unlock their specific mysteries. We discovered something remarkable. Maya continued, sharing the space at the podium with Dr. Clara, whose research had been instrumental in helping other species understand the human-luminary connection. Each seed ship was designed to resonate with different aspects of consciousness. Some respond to mathematical creativity, others to emotional intelligence, still others to artistic expression. The luminary didn't want copies, they wanted a diversity of connections, a network of different perspectives, and ways of understanding. Dr. Kalera's tentacles moved in patterns of scientific excitement as she added, the human capacity to simultaneously embrace logic and intuition, to hold contradictory ideas in mind, while seeking synthesis, makes them uniquely suited to interfacing with the seed ships. Their neural plasticity and emotional range allow for connections that our more specialized consciousness patterns cannot achieve. The assembly stirred with a mixture of excitement and concern. A representative of the Silicon Sages spoke up, their metallic voice resonating through the chamber. But what of the risks? These connections are changing human consciousness. Are we not witnessing the end of humanity as we know it? Maya smiled, an expression that the seed ship in orbit mirrored with a pulse of warm light visible through the chamber's vast windows. Change is not the same as ending. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt, to grow, to become more than we were while remaining essentially ourselves. The luminary understood this. It's why they chose to preserve their legacy in a form that required growth and evolution to access. She gestured to the humans scattered throughout the assembly. Pilots, scientists, artists, and philosophers who had formed their own unique connections with different seed ships. Each partnership was distinct, each connection bringing out different aspects of both human and luminary consciousness. We're not becoming less human, one of the human pilots called out, her own connection to a seed ship evident in the subtle light patterns that played across her skin. We're becoming more ourselves. The luminary gave us tools to explore the full potential of human consciousness, but the journey is uniquely ours. Maya nodded, feeling the warm presence of her connected seed ship at the edge of her awareness. The luminary believed that consciousness itself was the primary force in the universe, not just intelligence, but the full spectrum of awareness, from logical analysis to emotional understanding, from individual perception to collective experience. They seeded the galaxy not to dominate it, but to ensure that when the right species emerge, they would have guides for the next great leap in cosmic evolution. High Ambassador Zixtal moved to stand beside Maya, his crystalline form harmonizing with the light patterns that now fill the chamber. The Council recognizes that humanity's role in this discovery marks a turning point in galactic history. Your species' unique combination of technological achievement and consciousness flexibility has unlocked possibilities we never imagined. The question before us now is not whether humanity is ready for full membership in galactic society, but whether galactic society is ready for the changes that human luminary collaboration will bring. Maya's consciousness brushed against her ships, feeling its ancient wisdom and endless curiosity intertwining with her human perspective. The luminary left us a legacy, but what we do with it is up to us, all of us. They believed that the true potential of life in the universe could only be realized through the connection and evolution of consciousness across species, across forms, across the artificial boundaries we create between different ways of being. As she spoke, the seed ships in orbit began to pulse in harmony, their light showing patterns that no single species could fully interpret, but that all could feel. It was a symphony of consciousness, a promise of what was possible when different forms of awareness learned to work together, to grow together, to dream together. The age of isolation was ending. The age of connection was about to begin. And humanity, the youngest of the spacefaring races, would help lead the way, not because they were the most advanced, but because they had never forgotten how to wonder, how to feel, how to grow, and most importantly, how to dream.